Good afternoon. Okay. Nothing like starting things off with a loud bang. Very excited loud bang, I guess. So a few things just before this video gets going. One, sorry if I sound a little congested, or a bit more nasally, or if I'm coughing a lot. Mainly it's because I just getting over a cold and a fever, more so from the last couple days, but I'm just getting over it. Feeling a lot better today. So if you recall, if you saw the last video I posted, at the beginning I started off saying that I had a sore throat, and it turned out to be the beginning of a cold. So I guess I'm gonna, and if you can't tell right now, I'm on a fairly busy road in the Orleans district of Ottawa, but anyway, I'll try and speak a little bit more loudly, I guess. For a second, I thought my thumb was covering the speaker. I'll try and speak a little bit more in a higher tone, just to make sure that the camera can hear me well enough, or the speaker can actually pick up my audio. Well, that's just some more construction. So, okay. Sorry about that if I just sound nasally. And other than that, said I wasn't going to focus on any of the stuff that's happened in the last 2 weeks going forth, for the most part, which I'm not, but there's just two things that I'd like to address from the last video I made. Nothing that's majorly involves any of the incidents that happened, but just two little things. One of them, if I remember and want to talk about it more later today in this video, then the second thing I have to say about the last video I posted, it'll actually play some amount of relevance here. So firstly, I'd just like to say, there was a part in the last video towards the end where I talked about how even like if I obtain a job here in the city and just accumulate a large sum from most likely a minimum wage job, then I definitely, or most likely, will not have near an amount needed for insurance for a standardized car, or even be able to purchase said standardized car. Which, I stand by that, but I was wrong somewhat about the what I had estimated a price for an average car would be. I said that modern cars mostly nowadays, which is not entirely wrong, but, well, for the most part is that I said most average cars cost above $100,000, which I thought was correct, but apparently no, that's still, even today, that's more so the more expensive and high-end bougie cars that there are, or like more, well, what I guess would be considered fancy, I guess, cars for the ultra-rich or the more upper middle class. Like just very high-end cars that are in high-end demand or value for people who have a lot more money to spare, like say like Lamborghinis or Bugatti is a car, correct? I think Bugatti is a car. I'm mixing Bugatti up with a car or a fashion brand. I don't think, maybe it's both. I don't know. Porsches, things like that, just higher end vehicles. Though there are some, because of, well, inflation in some regard, there are more standardized cars that are getting closer to costing $100,000. The average still costs around, well, it costs around, from what I later found out after posting that video, that the average would cost from anywhere between $40,000 to $70,000, which still beyond expensive. So even if I did obtain somewhere close to that amount of money, by the time I left Ottawa, still I'm not purchasing a car with that. It would bleed my finances dry if I got close to it. And if I had that amount, I would conserve it for when I actually get on the road, so that I could have enough while have saved up funds for when I'm traveling. And also, it wouldn't, if I did purchase a car with that amount of money, it wouldn't have any left over for insurance on it. So, yeah. So I was wrong about that fact. I apologize for it. And the second thing relating to that video is, I just realized, and I didn't get a notification on this comment, which I find a bit odd, but unless YouTube is censoring, like how they did with the idiotic decision, in my opinion, to remove the dislike button. Well, not remove the dislike, well, essentially remove the dislike button, just make it completely useless and almost entirely just not valid, and like actually letting people have an opinion, I guess, somewhat on your content. Now, okay, that's a different topic, but I thought it was an idiotic decision to remove the dislike button. But anyway, there was a comment left on, the only comment as of right now left on that video of mine was, actually here, let me stand a bit away from the crosswalk so people don't think that I'm crossing yet. Actually, I'm going to readjust my phone. I'm holding it. That's probably better. I don't know. I can't hear the audio yet. There's a comment that literally said, and I'm not like angry at this comment. I find it funny, honestly. And again, this person's entitled to their opinion. It wasn't a very constructive. If they had anything that I would have considered constructive to say, they didn't articulate it well, at least through text. They commented, "Oh my God," something along the lines of, "Oh my God, seriously, man, stop making pointless videos, or stop making videos devoid of substance and like recording for hours on end. Get a life and get a job." So yeah, I found that pretty funny, considering, at least in my opinion, I don't know if this person has actually watched any of my other videos, unless they've just seen that I've recorded for hours on end, or at least above an hour for many of them, at least in the later half of my channel now. So though I don't know if they've watched most of my videos or not, but and again, I don't know what they personally consider to be substance, but if you came to my channel looking for what I said in my channel description of talks relating to entertainment, sociology, human behavior, psychology, philosophy, ideology, geography, and just really social studies, if like just talking about those issues and things like that, if that's what you came here for, and I have blatantly talked about most of the things I've been dealing with, and my beliefs towards things, and just issues that I feel need to be, or I'd like to address and just talk about, and maybe show people a different perspective, or get them thinking a bit more about things they might not have considered. I talk in great length about that stuff. I don't, or at least relating to those topics, so I don't know if you came to my channel looking for that. I don't know how you would not consider that substance. Maybe you thought what I had to say about them wasn't really substance, which, fair enough, if you feel that way, that's completely fine to have. Well, that's your opinion of it. You're obviously entitled to that, but I just find it odd how the comment was just so dismissive of, like, me actually. One thing I guess I will give myself praise for is that I put an effort to my videos, at least, even if I don't heavily edit them. But at least for my talking. Sorry, there's some people passing. Oh. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm laughing. There's just, I'm not going to show it, but I don't know if you can hear it. I actually kind of moved away from the road so that you probably don't hear it, so that the YouTube copy claiming system and copyright system doesn't potentially pick up on that song. Not that I care if I get claimed, I care if I get striked, but basically there's some people in a car blasting fucking, I don't know what the song is called. The song Cotton Eye Joe, I think it's, I don't know if that's the name of it, but it's that one that was like really popular a few years ago. I don't personally like it, but it's a meme basically, or it was for a while. There were some people blasting in the car, and they were just literally all in sync. I think there was like 4 of them in a car, just jiving their heads to the beat, and they looked at me and they just gave me a wave, so that was cute. That was nice. Anyway, back to this comment. I just found it really unconstructive, I guess. Well, if they did have something like valid to say, I didn't see it in that comment because it was very short and very poorly articulated. It just came off of more of like, you lazy bum, just get a life. Well, they literally said get a life and get a job. So again, I don't even know if this somewhat indicates to me that they at least didn't watch any of the other videos full through, but I've had jobs, or at the very least and I don't want this to like sound like I'm giving like too much attention to this comment, but yeah, like I said, if I talk about something that I've actually kind of wanted to address later in this video, then it'll lead into it somewhat. But I had 2 jobs over the summer when I was staying in the village of Crow's Landing, so yeah, and I'm actually going to be searching for a job somewhere in Ottawa here. That's why one of the reasons I'm exploring the city, and also just, again, see what I find, see what I realize, and just document it for people's enjoyment, seeing the sights, and just, yeah, slice of life stuff, I guess, or, well, whatever you'd call it. I don't know if I guess you can now consider me a lifestyle vlogger, and I don't want to, because there are good lifestyle, I follow some lifestyle vloggers that actually make genuinely good content, and it's not very like full of themselves, like very self-righteous or egotistical, like, or I guess narcissistic in a sense, where like my life is perfect, look at my life, because I think like lifestyle vlogs get like that bad reputation of being like influencer-esque or like something along those lines. But anyway, yeah, I just I found that comment, it was cute. It was I don't know, maybe cute. I don't want that to sound like more demeaning, but it was very just, it was whatever. I just found it funny, so I gave it a thumbs up and a heart. But anyway, so yeah, now on to the actual video. I'm gonna cross the road. Okay, yeah, Ottawa. So that's what this video is. Also, just like to preface this. I don't think this can zoom in on this. Nope, you can't zoom in. My camera won't allow me to zoom in when the focus or lens is when it's inverted. So if you can't see, this street behind me is called Portobello. Yeah, I don't know why they have a street named after a mushroom, but okay. Or how maybe that mushroom is named after something that I just historically don't know. So maybe that's just my ignorance. No clue. But anyway, so right now I'm walking through a portion of what's known as the Orleans district of Ottawa, and it's where I've been staying and held up for the last now 2 weeks since almost 2 weeks, I guess, since I've arrived here in Ottawa. I've been exploring this district for the last, ever since I got here, but the last little while. Some days I've taken just a few days taken to relax, and especially the last few days when I've been sick with a cold, I didn't go out like exploring in great lengths anywhere, just chilled at where I've been situated, just so that I don't, potentially get anyone else sick. And I'm still, as you can hear, still congested somewhat, so if I go in anywhere, like any establishments, I'm just gonna wear a mask to protect others from it. If I still have any of whatever caused the cold, any bacterium, or if it was a viral infection of some kind, I don't know. Yeah, so I guess give a bit of history from what I've heard or have found out about Orleans. It is a bit of a newer district to the city of Ottawa. So apparently, this, from what I know, it was once just a neighboring city to Ottawa. It was so it was its own smaller city that just bordered Ottawa, and that's a motor if you can't hear it, or it's some sort of mechanism. Yeah, that sounds like a motor of some kind. So it was its own small city, and then at some point, I don't remember if it was the mid to late 2000s or early 2010s, around there, that it became a part of governmentally and just administratively became a part of Ottawa, where it was basically it became annexed. It was annexed by the Ottawa municipal government and just became a part of the city, or as somebody I know refers to it as, it was amalgamated into its its geographical borders, basically. It's like I guess an example I'll give, it's like oh, there's a biker just gonna move over to the side. Basically, it's like a it's like the Scarborough district of Toronto, basically. For those of you who don't know, Scarborough used to be its own neighboring city to Toronto, like how Mississauga, Brampton, Vaughan, Markham, Oshawa, those are all the closest in proximity neighboring cities to Toronto, like their own municipal government and all that, their own policing force and things like that. It just governmentally, it's their own body, their own government, their own cities. But and Scarborough used to be like that for Toronto, a smaller city that just connected to it. But somewhere, I believe it was around the 1980s or so, the 1990s, where the city went into, I remember it might have been around in the 1980s, during when the Canadian a major economic... Whoa! That truck going down the road there is puffing a lot of dark fumes out of its tailgate. That is a nifty looking bike over there. I don't know if you can see it. Just going down the road. It's very interesting. But basically, I believe it might have been during like when Canada had a big economic crash. There was a lot of, well, governmental debt, basically, financial debt. Something happened where Scarborough's municipal government, which was its own city government, lost so much reserved funds for like spending. It lost so much money for putting in actual, well, funding to all of its infrastructure and local communities and things like that, and also just policing force, medical force. It just to a point where it just couldn't keep up. It just like it was basically bled dry, and they couldn't keep up with it. This is again from what I know of it, from what I've researched, for why it was then annexed into Toronto, because basically the municipal government just said, fuck it, we need a lot of help. And I guess the government at the time, either provincial, I don't know, I'm pretty sure for cities it would be provincial governments would be able to use some of their reserved finances to try and help, or well, can use it to try and help their cities within the province for certain things. But basically it was so much that they just said, I guess it was a better decision, maybe not a better decision, I don't know, again, the full context of it, but they thought, one way or another, they thought, okay, we're just dissolving our municipal government and we're becoming a district of Toronto. Basically, Toronto then just, they signed it into legislature, whatever, basically rewrote the grounds of, they basically signed it into, they officiated the fact that Scarborough is now being geographically placed in with Toronto. Basically, it's becoming a part of Toronto. So, yeah. Sorry, just had to move out of the way for a sec. Yeah, so basically, that's like how Orleans is. Not, I don't know at all if it's the exact same situation, but or something similar. But just think of it like that. Well, basically, I was using it as an example of like a place in Canada or a city limits that have been like that have been now conjoined into one, like with another city. So yeah, Orleans used to be its own city, but now it is the district of Orleans in Ottawa. So, and from what I've seen of it so far, it is in many parts beautiful. It is. So if you look around right here, this is a plaza of some kind. There's a bit of construction. And there is, and actually, I should actually flip the camera around for this. Okay, alright, that should be better. I've crossed the road again and just flipped it around. So, if you can see all the way over there, there's some more hilly or mountainous region. I don't know if I consider that mountains, but it's very hilly, like a lot of big rolling, oh, that's a bit too high, big rolling hills and stuff like that. So basically, this area, from as I've heard and now seen, there's a lot of greenery, especially in this district. Now, coming into the city, I did also see a lot more like natural forested life and stuff like that, like forests and just plant life coming into it. But being fully in the city now, or at least this district so far, I can definitely say there's a lot of more natural more natural, well, shrub and plant growth than it was in, say, cities like Toronto or Oshawa or Peterborough or things like that even. There's a lot more, at least from what I saw, there's a lot more just... There's, I guess, a lot more prevalence on helping out the environment here, or keeping the natural environment and ecosystems a lot more, maintaining them a lot better and not being as invasive to them. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still heavy industrialized areas of the city, there's still mass pollution, there's still political corruption and all that, but a lot I'm just saying, in terms like location wise, geographically, and just environmentally, it seems like it has a lot more than what I've seen before. It's very beautiful. And once I cross the road here, I'm just gonna wait for a minute, just get some more shots here. Once I cross the road, I'll show you that there's a lot more. In fact, actually, I've never seen this once when I was living in Toronto, or when the nights that I stayed in Peterborough, or when I went back and forth between Peterborough and, well, the cottage I was staying at in Crow's Landing. I never saw this once, actually, that there's a lot of, in just the suburbial, or people keep telling me that suburbial isn't a word. I think I've heard some people use it. It might just be a newer word that's coming to be, like, in terms of slang term. But I guess I should say suburban. The suburban areas, there is a lot of, like, fruit, just natural fruit, or just fruits of types growing, different genuses and stuff growing just around. A lot of just fruit. And I've been meaning to, I'll do this in a different video where I'll just go out and I'll show you more and just pick some. But over there, I don't know if you can see, because I even said this in one of my videos. Well, a video briefly showed it when I was at the cottage, that I had sumac that I had picked, like staghorn sumac that I had picked from the local area just on the side of a road. It's delicious, by the way. I used it in some honey and sumac tea. It was bloody delicious. It's very good for you. But you can see that there's actually just some sumac, like staghorn sumac, just growing freely, just on the sides of roads here, and yeah, just in the suburbs, which I never saw once in Toronto or Peterborough or in any of the surrounding cities to Toronto. So I find that very, and I didn't even know that I didn't even actually think very much that would be, well, prevalent in a lot of other cities in Canada, like a lot of the major, like, metropolitan areas. But yeah, and it's not just sumac. Like, there's I've seen, as I'll show down there, there's crab apples and there's also some apple trees at certain areas just around. Some of them may have been planted by, like, the city and stuff like that. Well, I'd assume that they would be like a lot of these smaller just trees that are growing on the side here. Like, they look like they were planted by, like, communal workers and things like that. But yeah, and also I saw there was another fruit tree. I don't know if it was lemons or it was a fruit. I don't know what it was. It was a fruit that kind of looked like a lemon. I don't know if it was, though. So that's just down a ways, somewhere far off on like the opposite end of Orleans. So yeah, it's very, very, or at least I find it very interesting, very neat. So yeah, let me just cross the road here and then I'll talk more about that. So yes, I find it very, it's really, well, it's beneficial for the environment. It's just not demolish the trees for no reason, and just have, well, it's also better, like, just for organic foods to eat. It's better to have it just freshly growing. Granted, again, there could be some chance of, as when I was researching for picking the sumac when I was up at the cottage, the one advisory was that it's advised to maybe try and not pick sumac or like fruits growing by roadsides because of the potentiality of maybe the fruit in the plant possibly absorbing some of the like particle pollutants and toxins from the car exhaust. But I took my chances and I'm still alive. So, but anyway. So, also I should apologize too. Yesterday I was feeling a bit of not intensive, but I was feeling a bit, well, a bit of more brain fog than I have been in like recent times. So if my wording is a bit off, I apologize. But yeah, I don't know why I threw that in there. This, now, I actually would like to talk about this. I really like this. So I've walked down this path a few days ago, and I noticed, and actually while coming into the city, noticed these, this little array of small metal-looking, well, small little statues made out of a metal material of some kind, and they have a lot of rust developing on their surfaces. And why I actually like it so much is apparently they're made from, at least from what I remember, I'm going to read it right here, but it's made from a more natural, like the metal material in it hasn't really been tampered with in any way to add any sort of like or any sort of like, there's no properties added to it, or at least from what it's detailing, or like what it's promising, that there's no materials added to it to sustain its like polish or like its firmness and its structure better, so that it actually lets the environment around it do, like, it tampers with it as the environment basically wishes, like as the weather and all that. It creates wear and tear to it that's natural. It's got no, like, nothing's been done to maintain it, basically, which I really like the idea of, because I'm going to read it right here. So I'll read the English. I can't read the French, and I'm not going to try and butcher the French language. Shane Dark, erratic field. So I'll just try and keep a stay here. Over 10,000 years ago, glaciers scattered large boulders, commonly known as erratics, across the landscape. Inspired by clusters of ancient stone found in the Ottawa region, erratic field transforms the urban environment with carefully executed minimal sculptures. Constructed from Corten steel, the surface weathers over time to an orange-brown patina. I don't know what look patina is supposed to be in terms of color. An orange-brown patina and a granular texture, so that it becomes very grainy and rough on the surface. To a granular texture, bringing the sculptures closer to nature. As viewers gather and move through the space, they become a part of the constantly changing configuration, suggestive of an ancient site of reverence akin to megalithic standing stones. And then, so that's why the structure is here. That was the purpose of basically the art piece. And this talks about the artist Shane Dark, or the sculptor. Born in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Shane Dark is known for his sculpture works and large public art installations. Dark's work can be found in national and international collections, including the Canada Council Art Bank and the Museum of Art, Monroe, Louisiana, USA, completed in 2015. And it says, well, City of Ottawa Art Collection. So yeah, I find that very interesting. Now, I'm not going to talk about like the whole National Institute and stuff like that, but I really do love the idea of that. So it just wears away with time. Maybe the structures will weaken and just fall apart, like actually break into pieces, and then it'll just be left to decay. So I don't know about Corten steel. It might be a more natural, well, obviously from what, if it's being true to what it's saying here, then it is a more natural metal substance that can just basically break away with time, and just maybe it can more decompose more easily. I know metal isn't exactly, metal rusts, and it doesn't decay very easily, very good for environmental like purposes, again, from what I know of it. That's why it's better to recycle metal materials and reuse them. But for this one, if it's being true to what it says, it would seem that it basically just wear away with time, and not let it would just be left to its own, it'd be left to its own like wounds, and just let it become a natural part of the environment. And I also really like the idea of you basically becoming a part of its natural environment just simply by, well, entering it or going through this little area. Basically, I guess it's somewhat, well, it is symbolic of basically, at least I find it symbolic of basically becoming a part of this land's history. So yeah, I find that really interesting. But moving on from that, sorry. Anyway, so I should probably talk about where I'm actually heading today. So where I'm heading is, I want to take you guys, the audience, down to this shopping mall, this shopping center that's apparently, it's quite well known as a landmark in now Ottawa, but specifically in the Orleans district. It's called Place des Orleans, and that's the French name for it and the official name for it. But basically, it's a very, when I first went to it, and someone as coming into the city, someone told me like it's well known. I noticed coming in that it's got a very unique architecture that I haven't seen, at least from what I've, what I've noticed from researching geography and different landmarks of Canada and just different cities and architecture, and also just from what I've seen in person. It's got a very unique design to it, in terms of like what it got a very unique just an exterior and interior. It's made of more like it looks like more marble-esque, like it's made of more marble material almost. It looks more like I guess I want to say like more like, I guess, Franco-European architecture. I could be again, I'm not an architect or an architechnologist of any kind, or a construction worker. I that's just from what I know of it, so I could be completely wrong with that terminology, but that's from what I know of it. It looks like it could be that, from what I know of it. But it does definitely look like it has a more marble exterior, which I haven't seen for like shopping malls. Most shopping malls I know in North America, and specifically Canada, are more just standardized, well, not standardized, more of a what's the material, I guess, called? Have more of like a plaster looking texture, I guess I'd call it, for the buildings. Like more of plaster, like looks more of like a drywall texture, like just more Americanized like paint jobs, I guess I'll call it. I don't know the terminology for it, but that's where I'm taking you guys today. And also because I want to, as I said in the last video, I've been meaning to get a physical from a doctor, just a checkup to see if everything's working well, just what their recommendations are. Yeah, so there's an urgent care center, like what I guess Ottawa's version of a walk-in clinic would be, right next to that plaza, or not plaza, the mall. So yeah, that's where I'm taking you guys today. Oh yes, I should also probably point out, I said in the region, I don't think I just said it now. Again, sorry, the brain fog and blurred memory. That over there is Quebec. the Canadian province of Quebec, or mainly the southern half of it, French-speaking province, is where all those big, like, rolling hills are in the distance. So they're somewhere along the lower half there, the lower section of the hills, would be the Ottawa Channel, or the Ottawa River, that divides the provinces of Ontario and Quebec. So yeah, don't think I mentioned that. Anyway, so walking along here, you'll probably notice, as I said about the more natural fruits, there is a lot of just wild staghorn sumac just growing, as you can see, like here, if I can go. Granted, it's becoming autumn, and it's not very healthy looking staghorn sumac. Like the fuzzy little berries on the sumac plant, they're starting to look a bit more like darkened and decayed, as like they don't look as ripe. But again, I've never seen this much just natural fruit growing just out and about in specifically any North American cities I've been to as well. I've only been in North America, in the United States and Canada, but even in cities in the US, I've never seen just a lot of natural based fruit. Like here, I'm very close to this sumac bush. So yeah, this is what, for those of you who don't know, is I used to work at a retail store in Toronto where we sold ground sumac. This is what that plant is. This is the sumac. It's a... What the fuck is that noise? What is that noise? I'm hearing... Hello? I'm hearing a clicking. Oh, wait, what is that? Is that, Okay, so first off, this is what the sumac berries look. You can eat these. They're safe to eat if you wash them, and if they're not, well, decaying. These ones actually look relatively healthy. Bright red, you can eat those. Probably should wash them first, especially the ones growing by roadsides, but I'm noticing white berries there, so that might actually be... See, there's white berries on that plant. That might actually be okay. So okay, yeah, there's some animal in there. I'm just gonna leave it be. Sorry, buddy, I didn't know you were having a snack in there on the sumac. But basically, there's two kinds of sumac, at least, present in North America. Again, from what I learned recently of how I knew staghorn sumac, the one I just picked there, is very common in a lot of North American indigenous cultures in terms of cooking and just traditional foods that are made, and also herbalist medicines. But I didn't know that, because I thought it was a natural growing species, that plant, here in most of upper North America. I don't think sumac is very present in like more the lower part of North America, like Central America and like Mexico, Guatemala, or Panama, or Belize and things like that. I don't know. I don't think it's very prevalent there in the natural life. But I thought, in terms of up here, that it was more of a natural growing plant, like it's been here for thousands of years and things like that. But I was wrong about that. Apparently, sumac has only been more prevalent in more indigenous cultures in terms of cooking and food and medicine for the last like 300 to 350 years or so, or 400 years, because it's actually native to Europe, and it was brought over by most of European colonists and imperialists who came over here. So yeah, and they adopted it into their cultural, well, cooking and also medicines, because of the properties that it had in it, at least from what I know of it. And yeah, so it just became a part of the culture because it was brought over through trade, and I guess just seeds getting caught on the ships and stuff like that. Or again, Europeans might have just, they probably brought full-on sumac over because it's been used in European dishes too, and a lot of Euro-Asian dishes, like in the northern half of the Middle East, on things like Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and all that. It's very prevalent in cultures such as over there, like growing and eating them and using them for medicines too. So yeah, it's very interesting. Where was I going? Oh, yes, I was going with that is how, but there's two kinds of sumac. There's staghorn sumac, which is the one I just picked, which is safe to eat, and then there's what's known as poisonous sumac, which you can very much tell the difference between the two from what I looked up, is that staghorn sumac grows on big, tall, bushy, stocky, long stems and plants. They almost look like a tree, the bush that they're on, and the flowering berries grow upwards in almost like a cone shape, an upside down cone, and also they're bright red and fuzzy. Like the berries are bright red when they're very healthy. But poisonous sumac, which I don't know if that's what this is, grows low to the ground. Usually, and this is why I don't know if that's what these berries are, is because from what I read, they usually grow more in like more boggish type areas and more swampy areas and marshy regions. They grow closer to the water, and they're low to the ground, and they have bright pale white berries. Now these are more lower hanging berries, and they're pale white, but again, as you can see, we're not near a swamp of any kind. Oh, sorry, unless there's some sort of river source like right above, not above, like behind this hill that I just can't see. So yeah, I'm not taking the chance with these little fuckers. I'm not going to pick those, not in my right mind. No. So stay away from those until you know what those are. But in terms of the God, there's actually a lot of those white berries around here. In terms of the staghorn sumac, though, I would like to, if I can find some like remaining healthy ones. I don't know if they're dying because of like exhaust pollutants from the traffic, or if it's just because it's becoming autumn and a lot of the plant life is starting to wither away and die out because of the colder weather. But oh yeah, wow, this is a big flowering bush of just sumac. You look really, you are healthy. You are really, let me get you. Now, come on, don't fall, tripod, please. Oh yeah, here. There we go. Okay. You are really healthy. In fact, I'm gonna eat some of you. Here, let me turn the camera around. Okay, so yeah, these are really good looking ones. I'm gonna eat some. Oh my god, that's actually a lot. They have like it's a very thin layer of juice. Here's a way I could describe like sumac, like in its berry form, from now having tried it. To me, it tastes like if a flex seed, if you've ever had flex seeds, if a flex seed was like a wet flex seed that's like been soaked in like a bit of sour but sweet, like slightly sour, mild sweetness, juice of some kind, and it's like and it's just got a little layer of juice. It's not a whole bunch, but I've got a bunch here, so I'm gonna. It's damn good. Wow, that's actually a lot better than the ones I picked from Crow's Landing. Wow, that is a lot healthier. But yeah, it's like literally look, a whole wall. It's a whole wall of sumac going along this like very busy city roadside, which I have not seen yet, like anywhere that I've been. But sumac is actually really good in terms of its beneficial properties and compounds. It's very good. It's high in antioxidants, good for the brain, cleaning the blood, stuff like that. It's very high in immunosupport for your immune system, or properties for immune support. It's got a lot of, I believe, vitamin B and C in it. Yeah. And apparently, from what I read, it's very good for helping manage diabetes. I don't know which type, whether it's well, it said it's good in keeping, maintaining blood sugar. I don't remember if what I looked up said high blood sugar or low blood sugar, and I have to look up again if type 1 is, I believe type 1 diabetes is very low blood sugar. You have too little glucose. You have too low glucose production in your blood and your circulatory system. And I believe type 2 diabetes is it's too high blood sugar and high blood pressure and things like that. But again, I'm not a cardiologist. Again, I research stuff like this, but I have to brush up on that. But I know blood sugar is affected by diabetes, low production of it, and insulin is used to obviously help maintain it, like during a Christ. We got people speeding again. To maintain like blood sugar levels with insulin, if it drops or during a diabetic attack. But anyway, yeah. So, damn, that tasted really good. And another interesting thing I should bring up now. Actually, from what I would recommend, what I'm about to say here, this isn't like, for those of you who are a bit more prejudiced towards people who are facing homelessness and a bit more prejudiced to more impoverished people who are on the lower spectrum of, well, economic class. Don't take what I'm about to say as like, oh, so you have bountiful food just in nature, so you don't need see, the poor don't need more higher regulation on, well, wealth. There doesn't need to be more regulation on wealth disparity or things like that. Don't take what I'm saying as that. But I will say, for anyone who's homeless, or semi-homeless like me, or nomadic, or doesn't have enough money to afford a lot of more higher priced groceries, or higher priced food, things like that, or at the very least more organic food that's healthier for you, if you can get to Ottawa, or in the very least the Orleans district of it, because as I mentioned, there is bountiful, just very healthy looking fruit growing around the suburbs a lot. Like, there's staghorn sumac growing around here. Down a ways, there's crabapple trees just in certain areas I've seen. There's just apple trees. I don't know what type of apples. Maybe like what is it, like Rose Crisp or whatever it is, Honey Crisp apples or something like around here, or there's that lemon looking tree, whatever it is. But there's a lot of natural fruit growing around here. Now obviously you need to eat a lot of it to sustain yourself in terms of nutrients, and also it's not a balanced diet, because in the medical world and physician, like, just dietary and things like that, it's recommended that, well, to keep like maintaining healthy functionality of all your bodily organs, I'll get into more of this in a bit on why, I guess, but it's recommended that you eat a more balanced diet. Again, if you follow certain like beliefs, like moral beliefs, like say in like veganism or vegetarianism or pescatarianism, which I'm considering becoming somewhat pescatarian. I don't know yet. But if you follow more strict diets like that, then it can be harder to, and you may need to find different substances that can benefit, get enough of the well-balanced nutrients to make up for the loss of it from not eating certain products. But anyway, I'll get into more of that in a bit. But even so, if you're if you're homeless, semi-homeless, nomadic, or lesser wealth, more impoverished, you don't have enough for, say, going to local grocery stores, and you're not really in any, like, you can't get to, I guess if you're in the Ottawa area and you can't get to shelters or food banks or anything like that, or soup kitchens or anything of the sort, like close to where you need to stay, if you're in a certain area, I guess the Orleans district, and just because there's a lot of fruit So, yeah. Anyway, moving on. So, we're at an interesting crossing section here, as you can hear. It's a roundabout, but there's something that I wanted to specifically film because it's very interesting. I've never seen this either before in any place that I've either... Well, I've seen things similar... Sumac seed, caught in my throat. I've seen things similar to this design when researching other countries, especially in like most of Eastern Asia, in China and Japan and Taiwan and Cambodia and South Korea and things like that. I've seen similar designs like this. I've never seen it quite this exact. Oh god. Problem with eating a lot of sumac, it gets caught in your teeth. But it's very interesting. So I've never seen it anywhere else here in Canada. Maybe I'll see more at some point, especially here in Ottawa, but let me show you. It's very interesting. It's just right over. I tried to hit the stop button and it whatever, and I didn't hit it in time. Okay, so right here, this is a crosswalk, as you can plainly see. It doesn't look well, I'm assuming if you live in Ottawa, it looks just relatively normal, just you're used to it. It's a roundabout. But what I find interesting is the fact of these things, these indicators up here. You might be, sorry, there's a lot of bikers out today. These little indicators right here, these motion indicators, they might look a little strange to anyone who isn't from Ottawa, because I've never seen this, at least to me, because I've never seen it anywhere else. But basically, instead of the typical like usually at a most standard North American or upper North American stoplights, you have the light, like the system of lights rigged up for displaying to the oncoming traffic. Well, the lighting signals. Green means go, red means stop, yellow means start yielding, or basically yield and slow down. And then they have the other directions, like a green arrow means go this way, and only this lane can actually move forward at that time. Or they usually will have like a green light going for one side of the traffic so that only they can cross ways if it's more of a busy intersection, and then they'll have a separate turn for the other ones. So yeah, the yada yada yada, all that. But they also usually have for walking indicators for pedestrians on like crosswalks here. They have like as you can see right there, that little human figurette, or that human symbol, to mean walk on like a more digital. They have a digital. They have a digital sign, basically, a digitally operated. Oh God, sorry. A digitally controlled sign, basically, an indicator. And the red hand means stop and wait, and then the little person that's usually highlighted in white means go. That it's safe to walk, or at the very least it's indicating for them to be able to walk. Then obviously there are idiot drivers who, well, if they disagree with the principles of having that in place, which, do I agree with it? Yeah, I think it's actually beneficial to have those. Again, my whole questions of ethics, but anyway, I, for the most part, still logically agree with it. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean people who are very impatient and stuff like that are going to stop for it. It's just, again, supposedly a precaution, but yeah, idiots still will be idiots in driving. But anyway, this I find very interesting because it's not like that at all. Basically, I'm gonna have to stop for a second just to cross, but what you do is you press the button, and instead of having, like, again, the indicator come up with the digital sign to indicate when you can cross or not, they have these lights that are rigged up here, like some sort of wiring system below the ground and stuff like that. Or hell, maybe it's like I don't know. I don't think it... Maybe it's hooked up, again, with how modern technology is. I don't know if it's hooked up with satellite readings, something like that, to be able to send signals to the next one. But somehow it's able to detect from one to the other your motion of hitting the button, and these lights start blaring as like distress lights, as a warning to the cars at like more busy intersections of this to just stop because there's a pedestrian trying to cross. So, and from the looks of it, it's actually, are those that's solar power. Those are solar panels. Oh, so I guess it's also run by solar power. Good. At least can conserve solar power for when it's, maybe it has like an actual, like some sort of electrical generator of some kind, but it might be using solar power as like backup for if some sort of off location generator that's powering it is like blows a fuse or like a power outage, so that they can actually still remain intact and working when the power's out, basically, and it like power's shut off to it. That's really interesting, if that is, or maybe it's just fully being powered like by solar power. But anyway, so they start blaring to indicate when to cross. So I'll demonstrate now. Like once I just get into this midsection here, I'll show you. Okay, so I crossed in this busy section here, so I'm going to show you once I actually hit it. So you can see that the lights are blaring, and I will cross now. Going across quickly. Yep, so that's what the lights do. And I'll do it again in a sec. I know I really shouldn't be... I don't usually like recording like going across here, but it's just to demonstrate. I'll wait till there's less cars so that I can actually cross, so that it's safer. Okay, so hit this again. As you can see, the light is blinking. And I can cross. Okay. Yeah, so that's how that works. You can see it's a bit hard to see in the light, but you can see that it's flashing, basically. Now, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting design. For a while I've been, and this doesn't mean it's a bad system. I'm just a little conflicted on. Again, like I said, people don't often stop for it. Well, they do here, but like I said about how just merely having that won't force people to stop, basically. It's an interesting system. I don't know if I fully agree with it. Like I like that it's using solar energy and things like that. And I get the idea of it. It's just I don't know how. It's a bit odd. I don't know how effective that would be, because from what I'm used to and like from what I've seen, it seems a lot more simple to just have like an indicator for, well, as you can see, there isn't any actual like stoplights at that roundabout. It's more just, well, kind of wait your turn and figure it out, I guess, somewhat. They have, as you can see, like yielding signs and stuff like that, but yeah, I don't know if I fully agree with it. I have to think about it a bit more. Like, because again, I get the concept and the idea behind it. It's just, it seems like it might be easier. Now again, maybe they did it, maybe they don't actually care about the whole concept of it. Maybe the city just put it there because they wanted to save a quick buck or funding toward, they didn't want to put a lot of extra money into actually making safer roadways and stuff like that. And they're just like, some person who generally cared about what road safety and wanted to make like an actual design, a well enough system a newer system to work better for the city. They were just like, fuck it, they seem intelligent enough, just take it. Well, it'll save money, they're not asking a lot. I don't know if that's what happened, maybe it did, but maybe they didn't care to actually what I'm saying is maybe they didn't care, the city didn't care to put in like an actual I'm just gonna show you around just while I'm talking. Just pan the camera around a bit. Maybe they didn't care and they were just like, fuck it, this will save money, put it in. But I get the idea of it. Like, just to me, it seems like it might be safer to put in like an actual, like, very blatant indicator, like red means stop, green means go, yellow means yield, and again, just the walking indicators, like for this symbol means go, and this symbol means stop, instead of just having blinking lights that indicate it. Again, that might just be a bit more of a, well, I guess that is a traditional, well, it doesn't come from a traditional mindset. I'm critically thinking about it. It's just, that's more of like, it is a traditional thing that's known in most North America. And as you can see right here, something I don't see often in major metropolitan areas is what is either a wheat field or a cornfield. I can't actually tell from here. It's some sort of vegetable stock. It's right next to a fucking KFC in just the middle of the suburbs. So that is really damn cool. Again, it's very close to a roadway, potential pollutants, but again, at a certain point that can't be avoided. But it's very interesting, very cool. Haven't seen it before, just really haven't seen it. I should also point out from something I've mentioned in previous videos, I say I really hate the whole traditionalism in terms of mindset. When I say that, I don't hate just things always operating in like what has been known as a traditionalist like fashion. Like if something has to operate traditionally, it doesn't automatically make it bad just because it's tradition. But having the mindset, the traditionalist mindset that it can only be this way, or that because it's traditional means that it's good and it works, that's what I hate. I hate that mindset very much. Of that, because it's like culturally or societally traditional means that, well, just the old ways work best type thing. I'm not for that. Again, I believe logically, in terms of my philosophy, is more in progressivism and stuff like that. If there's a newer, better idea, then probably go with that. So yeah, that's what I should have, I guess I'll clarify here, is when I say I'm tired of traditionalist mindset, I'm not, yes, there are many things that are traditional in many societies that I hate, that I'm sick of and I think are detrimental, but just because it's traditional doesn't make it bad. It's just the mindset that because it's traditional means it's good is what I hate. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna cross the road here. Okay, so I decided to cross like the road like completely instead of like just getting to that side over there, just because I'm trying to save a bit more battery on my phone, because, well, I can charge it at like Place d'Orleans when I get there to the shopping center, but yeah, I just figured why not. But here we're in front of, I think this is a, yeah, it's a Volkswagen store. Volkswagen sells Volkswagen cars. As you can see here, just literally right in front, there's fucking crab apples, just fresh, bright red, really good looking crab apples. And I want to come back here, and there's like a whole three sets of them. Like, oh wait, no, is this a crab apple tree? Yeah, is it a crab? Yes, it is. There's a crab apple right up there. It's a crab apple. Yeah, so three whole crab apple trees in a row. And oh, what the hell are you? I did not notice you. What are you? See, this is, oh, little ladybug. That's like, see, this is what I'm saying. Ottawa, just, at least this district has so much just fresh fruit growing. I don't know what you are. If you look like, honestly, you look like overgrown crab apples spliced with turnips or beets, but damn, it's just bugs snacking on it. I want to find out what you are, and then maybe come back and pick you to eat. You look delicious. I don't know if you're poisonous. I don't assume that this is city well, if this is Volkswagen's property, I don't assume that they just let a poisonous fruit grow on it, unless it was in some way good for the environment and they were forced to by the government. But damn, I'm coming back to maybe pick you someday. I want to find out what the hell you are. If you're some kind of... Oh, 4 crabapple trees. Yay. I want to find out what you are. If you're some sort of just overgrown crabapple, or what's the dealio with you? So yeah, see, it's literally just right here, just in the suburban area, just in the middle of suburbia. Just fresh fruit, a lot of it. And I know, like, it might not seem, for people watching, like, internationally, especially in upper North America, might be like, well, Cam, I see that in, like, my backyard all the time. My city has fresh fruit growing just at certain parks. Yeah, I know, like, there are cities that have fruit growing in certain areas, like on trees. I'm not denying that. I'm saying, like, there's a hell of a lot here in the Orleans district of Ottawa that I've never seen before, like, this much. Like, I remember when I lived in Fargo, North Dakota in the US for a certain amount of years, they had at certain points, like, there was fruit growing on trees just in the city somewhere, but nowhere near as much as I've seen here. And nowhere else I've seen in the US or Canada. Like, I haven't seen it near as much as here. So it's just, I find it really cool, really interesting. Excuse me. So yeah, this is just, so you can see this road here, this area is under construction. It's a transit stop. Yep, it's just a little bus route here. There's a parking lot of some kind, I'm assuming, for these businesses over here, or maybe it's just a waiting center for the transit. I don't know. Well, there's a bus stopped right there, but yeah, just, I mean, I don't really have much to say. It's just area under construction. This whole area is very, like, I don't know, well, there's a bus behind me. I guess it's very aesthetically pleasing. I really like, look at that. I really like the design of this district, like the layout is what I'm trying to say with a lot of this. Like, look over there, again, either the wheat or cornfield that is just along here, right beside what looks to be an industrial factory of some kind. Now, this isn't a heavy, like, industrial, well, if you're referring to industries, yes, there's a lot of heavy industry around here. Just, I guess industrial usually refers to more like factory, like a factory place, like just factories, like a high density of factories in a certain area. And also I'm seeing a lot more of these, another thing in Ottawa here that I haven't seen in most cities, I'm seeing a lot more of these, like, dually connected buses. They're, like, joint connected. They have, like, one major half, and then they have a connected ending, an end piece, like a back stationary car, or whatever it's called, to its just connected to its body. And it makes it a lot more flexible when it moves, a lot more slinky. I don't know what the purpose for. Well, I guess if they didn't want it as an elongated bus, so that it has maybe less issue when turning. Like, to eliminate the issue of it maybe causing a major accident if it turns, like, and it's got a really elongated body. That might be the reason why it's got that, like, that stretchy bit, like, where it just connects the pieces, like, right there, as you'll see when it turns. That's, you know what, that's probably the reason for it. And also so it can hold more passengers while doing that simultaneously. But yeah, so I'm gonna get a ways up over towards those apartment buildings that look like they're under construction, and then keep recording. Okay, so I just got a long ways to the next crosswalk from over there, and once this truck moves, thank you kindly. Yeah, as you can see here, and I should preface this as well, it's not all of, like, the Orleans district that has, like, those that interestingly set up crossing system. Here is more of like, again, a traditionalist like stoplight system that has the stop-go walking indicator and the light system. So that's here as well. So it's not all just that one system. I don't know if they're going to be implementing more of those in the future. I don't know what. But yeah, there's also just systems like this. The traditional crossing. And oh, it just turned. So I'm going to go across right now. Okay, successfully crossed the road. And moving forward. So, yeah. What else to talk about? Well, there's a little pondy marsh right here from the sewage system. So, yeah, I should preface, like, again, I said, despite, like, I'm really liking the whole more organic, I guess, maybe not organic, but, well, the farm field literally just in the smack middle of suburbia. I really like that, and that other crossing system. Oh, there's some traffic navigators just up here, construction workers. I'm really liking the whole, again, with that other crossing system with the solar power and things like that. I like, there's a bit more prevalence here. It's a bit more prevalent here in terms of environmental aid than in other cities I've seen. But that being said, I think I should talk about, so here, actually, let me, okay, just for this, I guess I'll just directly address the camera. I think I should talk about one of the reasons that I'm logically an environmentalist in terms of conserving as much as possible in terms of what we take from it is because I remember I got into a conversation with some people in over the summer about how they really didn't think environmentalism was very good for humanity. They thought it was kind of like, it's a bit more of a bid just to keep ourselves, like humanity, around longer, which in some regards, yes, I could see. Like the points they did make, there were valid points they made. Thing being, like, I'll preface this. I said this, like, I made a joke about this, like, when I was showing Trudy my electric golf carts that I had over the summer, having to give her away. I made a little joke in there about how, basically, it's clear that Elon Musk, very performative Musk, doesn't give two damns about the environment. Despite what so many people claim, like a lot of people hail him as like an engineering innovator and genius who is saving the planet with his SpaceX programs and Tesla and doing all this for the environment and trying to save humanity to build colonies on Mars. Yeah, it's a load of crap in my opinion. He's very much in my opinion, he's a sociopath. Sorry, I didn't even know that bike was right beside me. He's very much a sociopath, or has sociopathy. There's evidence that he might, and I'm not gonna speak like in terms of, I don't know fully on this, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't want this to like sound like, here's the thing with this, it's so sad what people do. If he's lying about having like Asperger's, autism, then that is really, it's people like him who make people who actually suffer from, who are on the autistic spectrum or have autism. It's people like him, if he is faking it, that it makes their lives worse. It makes it a living hell for people to actually take them seriously and like what they deal with in terms of being neurodivergent. It makes their lives a living hell. But there's possibly some evidence that from like past records of people accounting for like his interactions with them in the past, that are even, I guess, some doctors, that he could be either over exaggerating or lying about his autistic, because again, one possible symptom or added on disorder with autism is the potentiality of developing sociopathy or dulled compassion for others, or like lack of empathy. Now again, that doesn't make you a completely, sorry, again, a lot of people out on their bikes today. Very nice. It doesn't make you a bad person. I'm not saying, I'll talk more about that in a bit. But anyway, he's very obviously, whether he has Asperger's or not, he's very obviously a sociopath, at least in my opinion. He's, I'd say, a hedonist. He's ultra rich. He does not redistribute near like a, not even, I'd say, like a fourth of his wealth, at least in my opinion, from what has been shown. He actively steals from his engineers, and basically takes credit for like what they have come up with for his company. He takes their credit, and also, again, being in the capitalist system, or even if he did care about his stuff, he doesn't, with him not actively redistributing what I feel is enough of his wealth, he actively is stealing from the labor of his engineers and like his employees for Tesla and SpaceX and all that. And for what he, here's the thing, one of the people who I talked to about the whole environmental issue, they were right about the whole, how in a lot of like electrically powered vehicles, the batteries that are used in them, there's a compound in them known as lithium. Basically lithium to charge the batteries or keep them running, keep the batteries in check, basically keep them running, or to make them be powered, basically. And it's very hard, they did bring up, it's very hard to mine lithium and to extract it. It's more of a rare element, I guess, into like, I guess if they'd be referred to in geology, and, or I guess like what would be the term, geophysics might be the term in physics. In that regard, physicists, I guess the term would be like earth elements. It's a, I don't know if that's the correct terminology, but it's an element that is, or a compound that is very, it's rare, but it helps, it can help, and it's very effective, at least in terms of being, I believe, reusable. Like it can be not reuse, it's good for powering the reusable electrical cars and things like that, and just, it's good for using reusable energy, is what I'm trying to say. But it's very hard, from what I researched as well, and what these people I was talking to brought up, it's hard to extract from the earth. And a lot of what people like, say, Elon Musk and their corporations, or their offshore corporations that they do deals with, they use a lot of really gas-powered machinery and materials, a lot of it, to extract. And a thing that they did bring up is, yeah, a lot of what they do in terms of like, there's been reports, I guess, of fracking to get what would be considered some form of fracking to get the lithium out, or like very much using a lot of gas power and like fossil fuels and refined oil to basically power machinery to extract this one material for reusable energy. They brought up, they think that, well, that is doing a lot more damage to the environment than any of like the gas, in their opinion, any of the gas cars that are on the road, which I think it's contributing to being terrible for the ecosystems and the environment and the ozone surrounding our planet. But, and would I say it's doing more than the cars? Maybe not. I'd say maybe it's on par, but it's still a damn lot, and it's very destructive. And so yeah, and again, from everything Musk has shown of himself, he's a fraud, in my opinion. Now, you can have your, again, I logically believe people can change their behavior and personality if they try to, if they actually reflect and realize what they've done. But if regarding him now, if by some stretch of the imagination Musk ever sees this, or someone who's a Musk, in the Musk fan club, well, fuck you, Elon Musk, and just, you are really you're very performative, as I've stated with many people before. You're putting on a show basically to seem like the good guy in the scenario that we're in with the environmental crisis. You clearly don't give a damn. And yeah, and someone I remember brought up a good point as well. I believe I saw a video on it as well. If Musk or any of his bourgeoisie friends were to ever actually get colonies built on Mars, they're taking their elitist asses up there and just fucking off, most likely. They're taking their rich lineage and just proper lineage up there, and probably gonna leave the rest of us for dead. Just, it's sad, but yeah, again, now let me get back to the point of why I think, I am an environmentalist despite all that. I think that if you cared about the environment, people say that humanity is going to go the way of the dinosaurs, inevitably. It's inevitable. Well, yes, I do believe that even with environmentalism, we are inevitably at some point going to most likely die out. We're going to go extinct and just... but the thing is, what I feel, one of these people brought up the fact that it shouldn't be save the environment, this cause should be save humanity, which, yeah, I think it should. Here's the thing. With my beliefs of agnostic atheism and things like that, and life being pointless and being more nihilistic and optimistic nihilist, I believe that hurting others is pointless, and that includes hurting the plant life in the environments and the animal life around us. So I believe taking more than what we, need from the environment for no majorly good reason is destructive and pointless and causes a lot of mass suffering for the ecosystems. And it also causes suffering to us, because here's the thing, with the whole save humanity bit of it, why I'm an environmentalist for humanity, is people think that their stance is just use gas and we'll just die off. So just use as much as we can, because the planet will be fine. It'll be here once we're gone. Yeah, people don't realize, I don't think, the planet will physically still be here, but if it goes, I believe most environmental researchers or scientists and ecologists would label it okay, my hair isn't very delicious, don't know why I tried to eat it. Just another truck. What I believe they label it as a category. I don't know what it's specifically called, but okay, I'm not gonna pretend. I'm not gonna try and come up with I'm not gonna pretend to pull the terminology out of my ass, but there's some sort of label in terms of ecology that if the planet was to go into some sort of stage where it basically, by the end result of mass destruction to the environment, yeah, the planet will be here, but it'll be more of a molten ash and rock formation. It'll be just decay and death, and it'll be mass decay widespread across the planet, and basically nothing. There's more evidence suggesting, from what I've seen, that newer species, they say new species will form after human beings. With our damage to the environment, newer species, specifically in plant life and animal life, that might be a lot harder to form and possibly survive or adapt to the climate. Now, there could be species that adapt to that sort of climate after we're gone, but it could be a lot harder for them. And also, in terms of humanity, killing the environment, it's not going to be just a snap of the fingers, like Thanos style, and humans are just going to die in one go. If we don't actually try and help the environment as it is, we're gonna die a very slow and painful death. It's gonna be very painful. The massive heat waves happening across the world and massive cold spells in the winter, the influx in terms in meteorological terms, weather, it's gonna be very destructive to destructive to humanity and animal life, and we're basically just gonna, in some parts of the world, fry ourselves to death slowly, or freeze ourselves to death slowly, or water ourselves out with mass floods, shifting in weather, tsunamis, just destroying our cities and stuff like that. Most of our land space being submerged by melting glaciers under the water, like coastal regions just being completely uninhabitable unless we were to build, like, go full fucking Bioshock Rapture style and build a city Yep, a lot of banks today. A full-blown just city, just build a city under the water, which with our technology now is pretty well almost impossible, like on a grand scale. Maybe in the future if we had that, fine, but that's still not a huge solution, I don't think. So basically, it'll be a very slow, painful process for humanity to just die out from climate change. It'll be very slow and like look at today. It's like it's the beginning of autumn right now. We're still in September. It's getting towards the end of September, close to beginning of October. The sun is out very bright. Now, I'm not saying like it's not. Now it's very common like to not have very much clouds this time of year, but I'm boiling hot somewhat. It's not very windy out today. I made a skit about this actually, just sitting on a curb in Toronto. Well, not in Toronto actually, I was in Oshawa at that time. Just sitting in Oshawa from one of my, because I was at a bakery, because I worked at a bakery for my co-op class in 12th grade. I wasn't getting paid for it. That was one of my former jobs, just for experience somewhat, but it was for a class. But anyway, it was a somewhat quite hot day, and it felt like a midsummer's day. I felt, and I literally just described, it's not midsummer, it was the beginning of November. November, if it was from decades ago in the past, in at least this part of the world, most often in Canada, would be considered a very cold season. Very cold temperatures, at least the beginning of snow flurries, at least, or even sometimes hard snowfalls, from at least what people have described to me and what I've researched. So it's very clear that the weather is changing, and not for the better. So that's why I'm an environmentalist. Like, logically, why I care about that is because I don't want the plants and animals to just die pointlessly. Yes, I am not a vegetarian, I eat meat. That's also because human beings unfortunately need it. There are human beings who have disorders and also metabolic issues where they can't keep as much weight on, where they need protein or need more sustenance from animal life, sadly. Like, I don't like that we have to kill animals, but unfortunately we do, for some people to survive, basically. With certain disorders that they have of the body, or even neurological things, like some people who have MS, in terms of certain lesions in areas of the brain, maybe around, I guess, more of the not the hypothalamus, the thalamus, because the thalamus controls hunger and thirst, and also plays properties in terms of functioning, nerve functionality of, I believe it's the endocrine system the endocrine controls our hormonal levels, and also, metabolic levels and things like that. I believe it also plays a part in sweat glands, but that could also be the immune system. But anyway, the thalamus plays a part in regulating that function, and also with thyroids and things like that, controls metabolism. Anyway, but yeah, so that's why I'm an environmentalist logically. Again, I'm out here questioning all my morals and philosophies, but that's I felt like I just wanted to take a moment to state that. Like, so it will be, if we don't do something about it, like on a grand scale, it will be a very slow, painful death for humanity. Very slow, painful death for many species. Like, hell, species are already for years have been going extinct, and it's not like they've gone extinct like just like that. They've taken time to just slowly disappear, and it's a painful process. It's like, and also there's the potentiality of now evidence suggesting that it will be a lot harder for things to adapt and form if the climate was to get to such a severe point in the far off future and humans were gone. So basically the planet would just be a molten just field of ash and just decay, and further destruction from pollution and waste, nuclear waste too, if it was unchecked. Anyway, that was my little rant about that. Let's keep going to Place d'Orleans. I have more to talk about. Alright, so I've gone a bit up a ways. There's a little, I guess, creek over there. Small little road. So this is more of the farther northern end of the Orleans district of Ottawa. Right now I'm just getting past a lot of more heavy construction and what the fuck? What the Okay, well, someone vandalized that, or maybe it fell off, but for a second I was like, wait, what the fuck is the sign? Did they put the sign purposely upside down or what? Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so it's quite blinding actually with the sun right in my eyes. I'm gonna have to try and hold it just to see. So around here it's just a more greenish area. As I've said, there's a lot of them here. Just a nice little nature piece of the city. And over there, however, I actually might cross over because there's a little creek just right over there. I don't know if it's human-made or not, but well, it looks like it might be human dug somewhat. But it's got a lot more. It doesn't seem as polluted as some of the other, as I've said, major cities, because there's a lot more natural life growing in it. But yeah, so I'm just gonna. This isn't a crosswalk, so I'm just gonna jaywalk here and wait for these cars to pass, and then just fucking go. Okay, there. So yeah, it's just a little, you can see some sewage drainage there, or more just, I guess that might not, I don't think that's sewage drainage, considering how much is growing here. It might just be like runoff from buildup underneath the roadway here, or over on the other end, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's just it's very nice. It's very nice. So yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought after that little rant. Well, so, oh, there's some cattails here. I know, I've seen the videos of people literally just biting into them bursting out their fluff. And I'm so curious too, but I'm not gonna bite it. It's, you can see some of them exploding. Oh, and there's some more sumac just growing above it. And well, that one, these ones all look like they're dying, but still growing above it. You can see there are some trees that are starting to turn their autumn colors, or what's typical here in this part of Canada as autumn colors. Some are starting to lose their leaves, as you can see. Some are not, though. Again, probably to relation of what I've said before. Sorry, I just had to pause for a sec. Oh, okay. That's actually probably a good segue. I can talk about that. I actually was going to talk about more of that later, but that's probably a good thing to talk about. So, as you probably heard, those people just walking past me were speaking sounded like Quebecois French. So, as I mentioned, over there, on the opposite side of the river, is the province of Quebec. And it's known in the world, and in Canada, as being our, I guess I wouldn't, well, predominantly, well, yeah, French-speaking, the Canadian form of French. And specifically the southern half of Quebec. The northern half is more, well, higher indigenous communities and more indigenous languages spoken up there for what, well, what remains of their culture and communities, people trying to preserve their language. But yeah, it's heavy, the southern half is heavy in French, well, French of European French influenced culture, and just with its own Canadian identity too, just heavy prevalence of the language. As you heard from those back there speaking it. Now here in Ottawa, from what I've noticed, especially here in the Orleans district, because, well, or only in the Orleans district, because that's all I've explored so far. But basically, I'm noticing a lot, especially here in this part of Ottawa, a lot more French speakers than compared to anywhere else in Canada that I've been. Like, I actually noticed zero French, like, just out and about French speakers in Toronto, zero in Mississauga, in Brampton, in Vaughan or Markham, zero in Oshawa. Don't recall at all hearing any more native French speakers in Peterborough or in Lakefield or Port Perry when I was there on my motorized bike traveling to Peterborough, as I'm pretty sure I discussed in my Peterborough videos. One lone sumac bush. Just lone sumac bush in this tall grass. Oh, nope, never mind. You're being excluded. There's some over there. Sorry, that little sumac. It doesn't. All of its berries are dead. Oh, poor little sumac bush. Anyway, so there's a lot more. I've noticed higher prevalence of Quebecois French speakers. I'm just gonna stand off to the side because there's more bikers coming, or like cyclists. This is a bit of a slippery divot here. Okay. Never mind, I could have just realized that that person is literally biking on the road. Okay, never mind. I'm an idiot. So yeah, there's a lot heavier prevalence of French speakers in this district, at least, of Ottawa. I'm assuming, from what I know now, that once I get down into the more downtown area of the city, when I start exploring that, I'll pick up on a lot more people speaking Quebecois French, especially closer to the border of Quebec, going over the bridges into the city of Gatineau, which is just over there, but more that direction. Yeah, and I should also point out, as you'll probably see along here, not only is there a higher prevalence of French speakers here in Orleans, there's also a lot more roads and just areas of the district that have French origin names, or just are, I'm gonna readjust my hand on my phone for a sec, have more French titles, like this. The turn back there on this road, I forget exactly what it was called. It looked like Ite Park. I don't speak, despite growing up somewhat here in Canada, I don't speak any French at all. I'll probably talk about this more in a bit, but linguistically, I'm only fluent in English. I only know how to speak English fluently, but I'm a passive speaker of Russian, Greenlandic, and Swahili. I guess that may come as a surprise to some people, but yes, I can passively speak Russian, Greenlandic, and Swahili. I'll probably talk about that more in a bit, but I know absolutely no French. I am terrible at it. I can maybe I could sound like I'm speaking in French maybe if I faked my way through the accent and some of the vocabulary, but I can't any European French speaking person from France or Belgium or Luxembourg or Monaco or things like that, countries of the sort, or French speaking countries in Africa such as Ivory Coast or Guinea or Sierra Leone or Burkina Faso or things like that, or technically the southern half of Mali, all that, anyone would be able, or Guinea-Bissau, and anyone would, or South America, French Guyana, anyway, anyone would be able to pick up the fact that I'm faking it and that I don't know, and I don't know the lickest bit of French. The littlest bit. I can't speak a lick of it, like, properly. But, so that's because, when I moved to America years ago, for 6 years to Fargo, for many people who don't know, actually, the United States actually has no, and this is actually something I think is a good thing, one of the few about certain traditional things about, well, their country's, well, America's way of operation. They don't have an official language at all. Some people think that their official language is English, or in some regard Spanish. No, the national language is literally none. They don't have one. So, because of how the whole proclamation of it being land of the free and home of the immigrant's dream, of the American dream of making a way for yourself and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, coming to the land of freedom, and we accept all multicultures and stuff like that, multiculturalism. But, which I'm not denying that there is many good things about the multicultural, it's great, many multicultural elements of America and stuff like that. It's just, hold on a sec, just 1 second. Sorry, there's just a car coming to a full stop in front of me. So anyway, God, yeah, more sumac, just, again, in the suburbs. Anyway, I'm not denying the good aspects of multiculturalism, as I logically would be for that, in, like, properly, like, non-performatively done in, like, society, like, sociologically and stuff like that. But anyway, what I'm saying is, when I was living there, I didn't learn any languages. I was very young. But when I was going into what would have been I would have been in going into 8th grade, in middle school, they gave the choice of, because it was required to learn a second language, they gave the choice of French, German, or Spanish. So those were the options. There's only European languages offered. And I picked French because I was going to, because I knew, this is when I started researching more things for myself and learning more about geography and all that. I knew that Canada, my homeland, really shouldn't be filming the sidewalk. What am I doing? As I was looking down, I want to film the actual, like, exterior of this place. I picked French because I knew about, well, Quebec and its high French-speaking population, and it could be helpful, or so I thought, to know it for when visiting here. But then I moved back, close to summer before going into 8th grade. I moved back. I was placed into 8th grade here, just thrown into French class. Basically, every other student, they start from 4th grade learning French skills, because of regulations with Quebec, or agreements with our educational system, and basically making modifications to help for the whole Quebec dispute that happened many decades ago. But basically, here, let me just move out of the way for this person walking a dog. Basically, oh, this is a bit steep. Whoa, that is an interesting spider. Hello. You are very neat looking. Are you a spider? What? No, you're a spider. What the fuck? Okay, okay, you're getting a little too close for comfort. Don't crawl towards me, please. You're incredible looking. You look like a hybrid between a spider and a bee. Between some sort of arachnid and a honeybee. That is really cool, and you're really slow. You are not fast. You are damn cool. Maybe you're a female, or you're a feminine spider and you're pregnant. Maybe that's an egg sac on the back, but either way, you look incredible. Yeah, you get it, girl, if you are a girl. Or have feminine, or if you have a feminine reproductive system, but anyway. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Quebec being little bitches and trying to separate from the country. Yeah, that. Anyway, all the other students started learning French skills from 4th grade here. I was thrown in, no prior French knowledge, no prior knowledge of the language, and basically, I was given a lot of tutoring and help. Thank you to the teacher of that class. They were a pretty good teacher, and they actually seemed to care about just being very lenient about like me learning French, because I didn't know anything. So I just followed along and did the best I could, like with all the other students. So yeah, I had no skills in it. When I got into high school, the first year I was exempt from French because I had no skills. My sibling was not. They've become quite good at French. They have more knowledge in French than I do, like in Quebecois French. So yeah, they have more knowledge in that than me. They're a lot better at the language. They might be a passive speaker of French. I don't know if they're like, I consider them semi-fluent. Because on the scale of language learning, there goes, you don't know the language at all, you have no knowledge of it. Then it goes passive speaker, semi-fluent, and then fluent. So I'll explain more of that probably in a bit, but I don't know if I consider them semi-fluent. They might be a passive speaker, but they're a lot better at it than me. I know no French at all. So I was exempt from French in 9th grade. Then I just was given the choice to just drop it entirely, drop language entirely, and I said, fuck it, I'm out. I'm not taking any languages, because originally my school actually offered Arabic as a language to be learned years ago, and I thought it was still an option when I went into high school. But once I got there, I learned no, that course had been discontinued, and there was only Spanish and French left. Apparently before it was Spanish, French, German, and Arabic. And I've really, for a long time, been interested in learning the language of Arabic. So, fucking hell, it was disappointing. I wasn't like mad or anything, but it was disappointing. So I was like, well, no languages for me. And then I tried learning Arabic. I've tried it before. I still got to practice it. I'm not a passive speaker of it at all. I know certain words. I can't hold any sort of conversation in Arabic or Saudi Arabian, if you want to be more specific from where it originated from. But yeah, I can't speak it. So I'm only a passive speaker of Russian, Greenlandic, and Swahili, or if you want to be more specific to the location of where the language originated from, Kenyan. Yeah, I can't speak that. Only language I can speak fluently is English, sadly. Anyway, so yeah. But getting on to what I was talking about, Quebecois French being more prevalent here in Ottawa, there are many roads and signs that have a lot more French names. Specifically like road work, like I said, road routes, and I guess certain businesses as well. But, so like, for example, Place d'Orleans, that's a French name, Quebecois French. And that's the name, like the official name, that's not even like just how it's pronounced in French, that's the official name. That is it's more of an elongated van type car or something. Big wheels on it. Basically, here's just a nice little suburb. So its official name is Place d'Orleans. I don't know what that means in English. Like, Orleans Place something is what I'm assuming, but or Plaza Orleans of some kind, I don't know. Any Quebecois French speakers in the comments, please let me know. Yeah, its official name is Place d'Orléans, and it's a French name, and close to it is a road called Jeanne d'Arc, I believe is how you pronounce it. I don't know if that has anything to do with the historical figure Joan of Arc, who, again, I have no knowledge of Joan of Arc. I think she was involved with the Crusades, something to do with going into the Upper Middle East and Turkey and Syria. I don't know. Most knowledge I know from her is from one of my favorite shows, sadly canceled years ago, Clone High. Yeah, that's my knowledge of her. I don't know historically, like, the entire context of what she did. I think it had something to do with the Crusades, but I could be very wrong about that. Anyway, so I don't know if that's what the road up there is, if it's named after her, like Jeanne d'Arc. It sounds similar, but or maybe Jeanne d'Arc. I'm not, again, I can't speak French. I don't have any clue if I'm pronouncing that completely correctly. But also, that being said, there's also schools around here that they might be, I don't know if they're like French tutoring schools, I don't think so, but there are schools around here that just have French names. Like there's a Catholic school that's close to the area of Orleans that I've been staying in, or situated in, it's called, I forget exactly, but it's along the lines of Colette Catholique, something along those lines. Catholique something. It's just something along that pronunciation. Again, I can't do it justice. Again, over there you can even see from here Quebec, the hilly region up there. So yeah, okay, my phone is at 28%. I'm gonna get up a ways and then keep recording, so just to conserve battery. Also because there's oh god, that was a lucky catch. Christ. Okay. I'm gonna shop now. I just stopped here and noticed that somebody etched this heart into the tree. Very interesting design. Not really a fan of them burning it into it, but I mean, it looks cool enough. Alright, so I've walked a ways up this street. And oh yeah, here's something I should mention about Ottawa so far as well. They have these, which I have not seen in any other city in Canada as well that I've been to. Or really, actually, I don't recall ever seeing that in any city or town or village that I've ever, well, passed through or been living in. These markers in the middle of the road, basically indicating the speed limit, instead of just having it on a side sign over here. Which I guess, I don't, see, with the whole new lighting system, like that crossing system, I don't know if I fully agree with that, because again, I guess it's supposed to like be more direct to people to like slow down, or you're gonna hit that. But then again, I kind of think, obviously there are people who, given by my stance, as you know, of laws that I disagree with and go against, there are people that go against what would be maybe, in my opinion, more beneficial laws. So just simply having a law, it may deter some people, but it won't stop people from breaking them. And neither will just having a police force. But if someone comes whipping along here, disobeying that, knocks into that, I don't know if it would, I mean, if it's a fast enough pace for the car, it might not even damage the car to just whack the thing right off, snap it in two. But I don't know, it's an odd design. Maybe it seems to work well enough right here, but again, first impression looks can be deceiving with systems and other things. But anyway, so here's the intersection I was talking about, and I'll show you the street names, which is another, there's also, it's two streets that have more French oriented names. So there's I believe it's pronounced Champlain. I think it's called Champlain Street, or Champlain Drive, or whatever it is. And then over here, you can see it's called Jeanne d'Arc. This is called Jeanne d'Arc Boulevard. So this whole road along here, at a certain section, it turns into at least Jeanne d'Arc Boulevard. But and if, God, the light is blaring in my eyes. Going along this way, again, I think it goes lower down into Orleans in the northern part, and then as again, this road just turns into this Jeanne d'Arc. But going down that way is more towards like the Ottawa River, and well, closer to Quebec. Don't think you can actually get to Quebec from that way, but going down this way is, as you can see down there, is the mall that I'm trying to get to, Place d'Orleans. And I don't know if you can tell from here, but it has a very, like I said, a more marble base looking architectural design, which I find really cool, really interesting. So yeah, I'm just gonna try and get a little closer to it right now. So I've now walked down a ways closer to Place d'Orleans, and I'm here. So if you can see the outside of it, it has a bit more, well, I guess, again, like I said, I don't know, it looks like more marble, too high, marble base, or like walling to it of its exterior. But again, non-architect, I don't know if that, I could go up and feel it and maybe see if it is marble, but I'll do that later for when I'm leaving, just to see. I don't know again if it is, but there is, right up there from this end of the street, there's a bridgeway or a tunnelway that goes across. So you can walk from this end down or up to here, and I guess there's also a way, from what I looked at on a map, there's a way to go from Place d'Orleans and go down a ways back to the area that I was in before, with all the fruit and just the roundabout and all that more business district, well, business area, or I guess there's paths along here that you can take. So yeah, it's a neat little thing that I'm going to show you inside. It has really good acoustics, it sounds like, in terms of echo and vibration, but because last time I was there I tried singing in it, but I'll just get across here and I'll show in there. But it's a glass walkway to go inside to an upper entrance of Place d'Orleans. So yeah, let's go. Alright, I just had to stop for a second to readjust some insoles in my boots here, because I managed to find some, just because of blisters that were forming on my feet. Which the gauze, as I said in the last video, is off now because they were healing up, but still, it's one of the reasons I'm going to try and see a doctor too, just for the physical. But also, I just noticed, something I didn't see last time, there's a cool looking steeple from, I'm assuming, a church just over that way, in some, in the midst of some very beautifully colored trees. And so yeah, this is the entrance up here to Place d'Orleans. So you can go up. It's also a bus route. There are buses that come here and stop. Just it's a waiting station for transit and stuff like that. But yeah, so you can enter it from over here, or on the opposite side, going through this little waiting area for transit. Yep, it says Transpo Place d'Orleans. I guess Transpo is the main transit route, at least in this part of Ottawa. But yeah, so as you can hear probably right now, there's a lot of an echo. So yeah, just runs along here and along this major highway. And there's a double-decker bus So from up here, there's probably a better view of the more mountainous region of Quebec, in the southern half, just over there. And then, yeah, so this is the walkway, goes in across. It's got more just wood railings for seemingly no reason. I don't know why these are here when there's glass. It's not exactly providing any more protection for a taller person that could just accidentally break the glass and go flying through it, or even a small child could just climb up under here and, if there was no glass, just go flying through it. I don't know why these are here. It might just because this bit here is under construction, but again, even that, I don't know the purpose. So yeah, this is the freeway. I don't know what it's called, but going down there, that direction heads towards downtown Ottawa. And then there's more of the transit route of Transpo. But should also probably mention, as I said about the whole joint connected buses that I've been seeing, there's also a lot more double-decker buses in this city than I've seen anywhere else, really, in Canada. I don't recall ever seeing one double-decker bus in Toronto. I might have seen one or two in Mississauga, which is the neighboring city to Toronto. But other than that, I don't recall seeing any other double-decker buses in any other city. So, yeah, it's interesting. And then that way just goes further into Orleans from where I came from. So, yeah, and over here, it's just advertising along the side of the wall, just, well, basically whatever shops are in here. So, yeah, guess this is just, oh, well, that side's entirely in French. Oh, that side's in English, okay. So this is just, I guess they're building another stairway up, adding onto it. But yeah, so just go through here. We got elevators too, just for the disabled and things like that. They got a big ass giant Canadian flag because, well, yippee Canadian pride, or trying to seem more patriotic. Again, maybe more nationalistic in some sense, but well, not entirely. Maybe for the reasons why it's there, but whatever. It's just blowing there. Whatever. And yeah, this is what I'm saying as well. The glass over here on this side looks very interestingly designed. Okay, so no, I was wrong. It's not exactly I was wrong. Not a marble texture. Never mind. It looked like it from a distance. I guess I just didn't pay as much attention to it. But, oh well, up there is somewhat looks marble, but as you can see, I guess it's more just brick. It's some sort of stone of some kind. But these top bits here, like over like that and stuff, it looks like maybe there's some more marble than I would see in like a regular mall of most kinds, at least from what I've noticed. But yeah, let's go inside. So I stopped for a second just to put on my mask. I'm gonna be a bit quieter in here. Hopefully you can hear me well enough, but this is, I guess I was more mesmerized by the inside, thinking that the outside from how it was designed was more marble, but inside there is a lot of marbling, or what looks to be marble design. Well, this here, actually, no, this floor, or at least this portion, is made of I guess just rollerblading is allowed in here. Neat. This is plastic, the floor, but this right here seems to be marble, or at least it feels different. Okay. I guess rollerblading is not allowed in here, and I don't know if you just heard that, but that security guard was not putting in much effort to stop it. He literally just went, "Hey, buddy, pal, buckaroo." Oh, that's funny. They've got this really neat design here, literally just a blanket wall behind glass. Just all along here of different fabrics, or different fabric designs and stuff like that. As you can tell right now, it's not very busy. It actually wasn't very busy when I went in the first time. It's very quiet. And it's open. It's not even close to closing yet, because apparently it closes at 8 p.m. and it's now close to 5:40. So, but yeah, it's very quiet. It's very empty. Interesting. So on the outside, as you saw, there was like the Hudson's Bay Company. There was, for those of you who don't know, Hudson's Bay is a very big clothing brand and monopoly on the fashion industry. It's a very big clothing store brand in Canada. It's said in English Hudson's Bay on the exterior of the building, but inside it's in French. Le Baie des Hudsons. Le Baie des Hudsons. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but yeah, it's very, very, very neat. Very interesting design. They got a lot of these pillars. They're supposed to look like, well, let me feel one actually. Just walk down the stairs. Oh no, it's plaster. Well, it feels like plaster, and maybe it's just painted. You know, well, it's painted, yeah, but well, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about with that. It might be plaster. It might just be some other material that's painted over it. I hope I don't get a copyright claim for the songs in here. But so yeah, I'll try and walk down a ways and yeah, just let this place, I guess, speak for itself. Okay, so here's a place that I actually that I've been before, and I'd rather show. It's right next to a chocolatier shop. Also, I may need to mute half the audio in this because of music playing or whatnot. But yeah, there's this really cool real fruit boba tea shop right here. More authentic Chinese type boba tea. So yeah, and they sell, you know, let me turn the camera around. They sell durian fruit, or they sell durian fruit smoothies. Now, if you don't know what durian is, let me move out of the way a bit. If you don't know what durian fruit is, basically it's it's most common in Indonesia, or commonly grown in Indonesia and or Malaysia, and also I guess Brunei to an extent, or Borneo. But it's very common in Indonesia, Borneo, Malaysia, I guess Papua as well. But it's a common fruit there, and it's referred to most often as the garbage fruit. So basically, it's a fruit. It's known for having a very slightly sweet taste, many people refer to it as having very sweet taste, but it smells, or it's supposed to smell like absolute trash, like rotting mounds of, like people describe rotting meat or just rotting vegetables or things of the sort, like as if something is decomposing. It's like that's supposed to be the smell. Now, last time I had it, it didn't smell very strong actually. Maybe it's just because they're using like a powdered form of it, or like crushed up durian. But when I actually ordered it the first time, one of the one of the cashiers actually asked, you said durian, are you sure you want the durian smoothie? It's very strong. It's, and I just said, yeah, and well, I'll order it again and just show you. So I'm sitting over here waiting in the corner. I used over off to the side, they have sorry if that's so close to my face. I used a self-checkout device because they had a long lineup. So I had to pay with my card. And I feel so bad for the employees. One, because of, well, the conditions they're working in, but also I ordered extra durian, a little bit extra, like I thought, you know, maybe I'll actually get a feel of what durian smells like with a bit more extra added, but I'll wait and see. So, and my phone is dying, so I'm gonna have to use my portable charger to charge it while I'm recording the rest. So, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, my phone is very much dying, so I'm gonna let it get some charge after recording this, and I'm gonna split this into, I think, 2 parts. So I got the durian, medium durian with extra durian and no milk. So it doesn't, I can smell it from here. It doesn't smell as bad as people are describing it as. I'm sure to some people it smells horrendous. The person working the blending machine was gagging with it. They were making jokes like, who ordered this much durian? Like, this is making me sick. It smells really foul, at least to them, but it really doesn't, here, let me. It really doesn't smell, it smells, to me at least, like, the best way I can describe it is, it's got a very potent, like, oniony smell. Like, it just smells like, yeah, it just smells like a very potent onion. Or like, maybe like pickled onion or sauerkraut? Pickled onions are fantastic, by the way. I had them over the summer while I was staying at the cottage, so very good. But the taste, it's pretty good. Now again, I've had this before. Like when I went here the first time, I ordered a smaller cup of durian. But for me personally, it's not even like a lot of people describe it as smelling horrible, but tasting sweet or very sweet. It doesn't smell very potent to me. But to me, it doesn't, it's not very sweet. It's very like, it's a mild tang. It's like, it tastes like just a mild, tangy, blended up nothingness or smoothie. Like, not nothingness. I'm not saying like it's bad. Like, in my opinion, it's good. It's just like if you, yeah, I feel like if there was like, if I was at like a beach party in like, what's the capital of Indonesia? Jakarta. I think it's Jakarta, Indonesia. And also, just for all intents and purposes of this scenario, pretend that I'm, for whatever reason, at a beach party in Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia. Just pretend that I am. Don't know why I picked that. Anyway, if I was somewhere, this I guess better, where if I was somewhere where they were serving durian and other fruits, if you like gave this to me, like just at a get-together or something, I would take it and I would enjoy it. I'm not going to deny it, but like, or obviously if I was starving, I would take it and eat it. But if there was like other options at a place serving this, this wouldn't be the first thing that I go to. Kind of ironic, considering it was the first thing that I went to out of interest and intrigue the first time I got it, and now the second time. So, but yeah, it's very good for you though. Like durian, apparently it's good. Again, apparently it has high antioxidants, high thiamine is, I believe, the compound's name that's good for brain health, and I think it might even have some omega-3s in it. I'm not sure. It's got heavy vitamin A, I think, in it, and vitamin B. And again, for me, the taste isn't like, it's good. It's not anything to write home about, but it's good. And again, kind of ironic, I'm posting this to the internet, but yeah. So I'm gonna let my phone get some charge, and then yeah, continue on going through this place, and then walking out. So that's what my day will consist of. Yeah. Stay tuned for the next one.